Well, Carson, 2020 has been such a weird year for so many people, but there are so many stories about missed opportunities or unfinished business, and you have your own list of missed opportunities, unfinished business. The opportunities weren't missed because of you; it was because of the COVID-19. You were playing over to Ohio State. That season ended. In a normal year, you would have finished playing your college hockey. You probably would have went to Cleveland on a tryout with the Monsters, get a little taste of pro hockey. But the brakes were put on all of that. That's the bad news. The good news is, congratulations to you. You signed a one-year AHL deal with the Cleveland Monsters. Just looking back at the last couple of months, how frustrating has it been and how exciting has it been all at the same time to go through what you've gone through?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, it was definitely frustrating at first. Not getting the chance to close out my college career and see, how far we could go as a team because we were really hitting our stride in the Big Ten playoffs there. We just came off a big sweep against Wisconsin, and we were getting ready to play at Nationwide actually in the semifinals against Michigan, which would have been an awesome game. And just not having the chance to see how good we really were is kind of what has been the most frustrating throughout the summer. And then, like you said, not getting the opportunity to turn pro right after and, get my feet wet while I'm, playing really good hockey and stuff. So it's definitely been a long summer having to wait for that. But that being said, it's been a bit of a blessing in that I've had plenty of time to train. I've gotten to spend tons of time with my family that I maybe wouldn't normally have gotten to do. And it's overall mostly frustrating, but at least we're getting closer to what we think is the start of the season now.
Yeah, I hope so too. We're all sitting here doing the same thing, waiting to get a date, waiting to know when training camps start and all of that stuff. You mentioned how tough it is to leave your collegiate career and not know how good you were. And in some ways, I mean, yes, you're a guy that you were a draft pick and you've signed a pro contract now, all of that stuff. But how much of that do you think you're going to look back even years from now and say, doggone, I wish I could have finished with my buddies. I wish we could have seen exactly how good we could have been.
Yeah, I think that's probably something that's going to, I'll maybe think about for years and years down the road. But, you always hear control what you can control. There's nothing good's going to come from sulking over it. But it definitely does stink that we didn't get that opportunity together because obviously worked really hard all season.
Well, your entire hockey life has big Columbus ties because, first of all, you're from Powell. And then, here you are, you played your youth hockey here. You played your collegiate hockey at Miami and then Ohio State. Now you're signing a contract with Cleveland. You were drafted by the Blue Jackets. Holy cow. You can't get out of the state, can you?
No, I can't. It's actually funny. At some point, I think I'll play in every city here in Ohio.
Let me ask you, let's go back to the very beginning of it. When you first started skating, where were you skating? Did you start at the Chiller North?
I think I started at the Chiller Dublin. I think that's where most of my hockey was when I was just getting started. And it wasn't until, a lot at Worthington too, at that bubble over at Worthington. And then it wasn't until maybe U16s or U18s that we started doing a lot downtown at Ice House. And yeah, it was mostly Dublin growing up, I think.
And I started to laugh because for those that, and I know they've had to redo that bubble, the Ice Works up in Worthington, and I haven't been there since they redid it. But I know when my son was playing, anytime something on the schedule was there, I knew it was an extra layer of clothing. Yeah. I knew it wasn't going to be fun. I was better off to wait outside, and I would be warmer than being inside. So that's, you talk about hopefully looking back, even right now. You can look back at that and say, man, where I started and where I am, not too bad.
Yeah, that place was freezing growing up. Still is a bit cold, but it's definitely a lot better after the renovations. But I don't know. You don't give yourself much time to look back and see where you've come from. But I am, proud of myself, and I think it's pretty cool looking back at how far of a journey it's come a long way.
Do you remember maybe how old you were or what level you were playing at when both you decided and somebody else decided that, hey, this kid has got some talent and we think that he can play at a high level? do you remember what age you were when, you start the travel programs, what set you up for the AAA and then everything after?
I would say probably my first year of U18 with Ed Ginger. Before that, I was a good player, but I was never, the best on the team. I was always kind of middle of the pack. And a lot of it had to do with just being a shorter player, like one of the smaller guys on the team. And then my second year, U16 with Perry Gancher, I got drafted to the USHL, but I got drafted pretty late, like the 10th round. And then, so I came back and played U18. And that year with Ed Ginger, I think I really probably developed the most of any year. And at that point I started to, I knew I could play it in the USHL, and I started to get a lot of offers from schools. And that's when I kind of thought, maybe I can go kind of far with this sport.
Can you explain, because the process is, like college football fans, you go to high school, you get out of high school, you go to a college and you play. If you're good enough, you go to the NFL. It's similar but different in hockey because, as you're talking about, you're playing on a U18 program, then you go to the USHL, then you wind up in college. For people that don't really understand it, can you walk us through that process?
Yeah, so it's a little difficult because there's so many different routes, as you know, in hockey. For instance, like Roslovic went right to, when he was, I think, 15 or 16, went to the U.S. program and started to play for them. There's also the USHL route, which a majority, pretty much everybody in the USHL goes to play D1 college. Or there's like the major junior route, like the OHL in Canada, which is what Cole Sherwood did. So, I finished high school and played U18 my senior year of high school with Ed Ginger. And then after that year, I took basically a gap year and played out in the middle of Nebraska at Tri-City Storm for 1 year. And then there I committed to Miami. And after my 1 year at Tri-City, I went into Miami for 2 years and then transferred to Ohio State.
Was that an easy or a tough transition for you to move from Miami to Ohio State?
I would say it was easy. It definitely helped being close to home. And I got to live in a house with like 7 teammates right off the bat. So I got to know everybody really quickly. And then, one of my best friends from home, Austin Pooley, was on the team. So it was actually a fairly easy transition, but on the ice, it did still take me a little bit to get my feet under me.
Well, you obviously made that transition, made that adjustment, whatever you had to do, and now you've signed a contract with the Cleveland Monsters. Let me ask you about Ohio State hockey, though, because there's a good men's program, there's very good women's program. Does it fly under the radar in Columbus?
I think so. It's obviously a big sports town, but we've got, the Blue Jackets right down the road, and Ohio State football and Ohio State basketball. So the hockey games, they still get a pretty good crowd, I think like 5,000 or 6,000, but it's definitely under the radar compared to the other Ohio State sports. And I think just the fact that we have an NHL club right down the street, but Steve Rawlick's done a great job with the program. And, I think they've been top 10 for the last 5 years or something like that. And I actually just saw right before this call that they came out with the preseason rankings, and OSU was ranked 10 once again for men's. I haven't seen women's, but I know the women's are always up there.
Did you have much interaction with the women's program there? You guys, I kind of a couple different rinks there, but how much camaraderie was there?
Yeah, we're pretty good friends with their team. For instance, I was just up. One of my teammates at OSU, Brendan Kearney, his girlfriend Elise was on the women's team, and we just spent the weekend at Kelly's Island at her place last weekend. So we're pretty good friends with a lot of them. And, obviously we have tough schedules, both of us, so we don't get to hang out a lot, but we know them pretty well.
Talking with Carson Meyer. He was a Blue Jackets draft pick. He has signed a contract with the Cleveland Monsters, just waiting for the American Hockey League season and the NHL season to get started. Carson, being drafted by the Blue Jackets, just that experience, your hometown team picking you, in the 6th round. The moment that happened, what was that like for you?
That was probably the best moment of my life, I would say. That was definitely something I'll remember forever. And it was a bit of a stressful day because I had talked to a number of teams, and I thought I was going to get drafted, but I knew it wasn't going to be till later round. So I didn't know for sure I was going to go. And I tried not to watch it all day, but obviously that didn't work out. And I ended up just sitting with my family on the couch and watching most of the draft. And then, I just remember when they called my name, my parents and sister getting up and being super excited. And then they took me out to a nice dinner at Hyde Park that night. My mom actually got 2 reservations the day of the draft, and one was for celebrating, and we were going to Hyde Park, and the other was if things didn't go as well. And I think it was just going to be an average dinner, maybe the Cheesecake Factory or something.
Hey, that's not average. By the time you read the menu, it might be your next draft year, for crying out loud. So now you've signed with the Monsters. How excited are you about that? You know you're going to play pro hockey. Again, it's going to be within the Blue Jackets organization. It's going to be just a couple of hours from here. Your family's going to be able to watch you play. What's your level of excitement right now?
I'm really excited, and like we keep saying, I wish I could just get started already and finally play professional hockey, because it's something I've worked my entire life for. And I'm really excited to stay in the Blue Jackets organization. Obviously, it was a long and crazy summer because of the pandemic. Things weren't happening super fast, and I'm just really excited that I'm going to get this chance, and I'm going to stay in the organization because of there's guys like Chris Clark, who I know pretty well, and he followed me through my career and in college and helped develop me. So he's somebody that I trust, and I'm just I'm excited for the chance. I really want to get going.
You just mentioned a crazy summer. What have you actually been doing since you stopped playing hockey at Ohio State?
So I just been training, skating. For a while there, we couldn't do either because of the lockdown. But I was able to take a family vacation down to Hilton Head. My grandparents have a house down there, so we visited them once. And I've actually been doing my master's. I'm getting my MBA online through Cincinnati in the downtime, just because I figured, why not? I got plenty of time right now. But other than that, just kind of spending time with family, hanging out with some of my friends from OSU. I think we've tried every coffee shop in the city at this point.
What are you getting a master's in?
Business administration.
Very good. Isn't it funny? And again, you're just starting in the pro ranks here, but because you've played at such a high level for so long and your schedule is set for you, like almost every day your schedule is set. Isn't it amazing that the things that are just kind of routine, mundane things are so they're such a big deal. And I'm saying that from experience too. I mean, I've had time to do things that I haven't had time to do in years. And yes, I'd rather be doing my job. There's no question about that. but it's funny, like taking a trip to go see your grandparents or something. It's like the greatest thing in the world to us who have a set schedule and never get to do that, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm so accustomed to, not having any free weekends, especially at this point in the year. And now I've got to find things to do each weekend. I mean, last Sunday I just went, or yesterday actually, I just went down with my dad, my grandpa, to the Bengals Browns games to watch that. So, I mean, I don't, there's very few NFL games I've been able to go to, because it usually is at the same time as the hockey season. But I mean, that was obviously a fun experience.
Yeah, well, and you're lucky too, because it's not like they could pack the stadium. So you were
Yeah.
amongst a select group, weren't you?
Yeah, it was pretty nice. There was no lines anywhere, and nobody was in front of us in the seats, so we could see everything.
Which one of those teams were you pulling for?
I like the Browns, but my dad and grandpa like the Bengals.
So you had a more enjoyable ride home.
Yeah, I sure did.
That's a good point that you bring up about the NFL. What other sports do you watch besides that? Are you kind of into everything, especially in this downtime, or are you watching pretty much everything that's going on?
Yeah, I am. I love the Browns are probably my favorite sports team, and then the Cleveland Indians, and I've gotten into Formula One ever since a bunch of my friends and I watched the Netflix series Formula One Drive to Survive, and now we watch it every Sunday. And so I've really gotten into that and watching like Lewis Hamilton race. So I do that pretty much every Sunday morning.
And I would imagine that you're excited the Big Ten football has returned.
Yeah, of course, Ohio State football with a big win on Saturday, and Penn State upcoming. So that's really fun to watch as well.
Boy, I'll tell you, like the NFL, when you watch it on TV, it still looks pretty much the same to me. I think the way they shoot the games, but to see Ohio Stadium when they went with a wide shot and there be basically nobody in the entire place, that was pretty weird.
Yeah, that's really weird. Like you said, like seeing the Bengals stadium mostly empty is nothing different than normal, you know. But the Buckeyes, there's usually not a single empty seat, you know. So that was weird.
Yeah, very, very weird. Okay, so for you, you mentioned that you're working out. You're also doing some skating right now, aren't you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I've been skating a couple times a week just with some of the local pros.
Yeah, but when you say some of the local pros, run down the list for me, because this is impressive. This isn't like every guy from Powell that likes to play a little hockey gets to skate in this group. So tell me the group.
So we've got Jack Roslovic, Sean Corrali, both Sherwoods, Kiefer and Cole Sherwood. Connor Murphy skated a few times. Who else do we have? Cole Castles. Riley Nash was there last week. And there's a couple other guys. Andrew Castles is the one who puts it on. And then we've got like Patty Cannoni, who played over in Germany last year, and Gianni Evangelisti, who's just turning pro as well, like me. I think that's everybody.
What do you learn from those practices? I mean, just first of all, with Andrew Castles running it, you know, former NHL guy, as you said, you're skating with a lot of guys that are either playing in the NHL or they do have some NHL time. Pace of practice, the way the guys go about things, how much have you been able to learn and pick up from that?
I mean, it's awesome skate with those guys because, you know, for me, I can compare myself to, you know, where I am compared to their level, because they're all obviously a couple of them are proven NHL players at this point. So it's fun to skate with them, and I can learn a lot from them. You know, like Rosovic's got a ton of skill and creativity on these skill drills we're doing. So it's fun to watch him and maybe try and replicate what he's doing. And then when we do like some scrimmages at the end, just the compete level of everybody, you know, usually Kiefer Sherwood and Cole are going at it, screaming at each other. And, you know, nobody wants to lose even in this little mini game months away from the season.
Have you also picked their brains just with, you know, maybe some questions about what you might face, what you can look for, any helpful tips that they've been able to give you?
Yeah, especially Kiefer. I'm really close with Kiefer from our days at Miami. So I talk to him pretty often about that stuff and just kind of what to expect at the next level.
All right. So speaking of the next level, when the day finally comes, when you pull that Cleveland Monsters jersey over your head and you start playing in the American Hockey League, what are some areas of your game that you think are pretty good, but you have to improve upon if you want to take it to another level?
I think my strengths are, you know, I think I've got a really good shot and a quick release so I can get it off quick. And my hockey sense probably. I think the game really well. So I think those two things are going to help me at this next level, as well as just my compete and working hard. The one thing I definitely need to improve on, and I've been working on it really hard this summer, is my skating, and as well as just putting on weight to be ready for, you know, the professional level and playing against bigger players. So just trying to, you know, get a step quicker than I was last season, and trying to, if you can just get the slightest bit faster each summer, you know, that's a big improvement.
Yeah, and I was going to say, and that's the biggest difference as you go up from one level to the next in hockey. It is the speed of which the game moves, and it will move faster in the American Hockey League than at the NCAA Division I level, won't it?
Yeah, definitely. So I got to be ready for that.
Yeah, no question. But hey, guess what? You're going into when the time comes, you get to go play in a big league city. You still get to be part of a big league organization, which happens to be in your hometown. things are not so bad for you, my friend.
No, they're looking up. They're pretty good.
Hey, well, I really appreciate you taking the time to do this. Again, congratulations on signing that contract. I know it's just the first step in what you hope is going to be a very long journey, and I hope that someday we see you here, not in a preseason game, not just watching a game or doing an interview with me in the press box, but see you participating on a regular basis with the Blue Jackets. I really hope that happens for you, Carson.
Yeah, absolutely. Me too.